Welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing ReZero Avatar Lost. What if Aang was in ReZero? Season 1, Part 4. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. So we're officially at the halfway point of Season 1. We'll be wrapping up in Parts 5 and 6. And then from there, we'll continue on into Season 2. Now, I do want to get this out ahead of time. I don't think I'm planning on doing anything else with this series beyond Season 2. Maybe I'll do a tie-in series if you guys wanted to see that about what's going on in the Avatar world while Aang is in the ReZero world. But that's only if you guys really want to see that. So just keep that in mind as we go forward with the story. Also, I do want to apologize again for last week as we weren't able to get videos out since we had some technical difficulties, but I do want to thank you all for your patience and I hope you will enjoy this next installment. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. It had been over a month since Aang had arrived to this new and strange world. Even still, he found himself adjusting rather quickly and formally. As Aang continued his stay at the Roswell Manor, still serving as the guardian and Amelia's protector, as well as helping out with any household chores or errands that needed to be ran. Often the villagers could spot Aang flying on his glider to and forth from the local market back to the manor and so on and so forth, and the children loved spending time with him. Of course, Aang continued on in his training as well as trying to figure out a way home. With the help of Beatrice and Roswell whenever he was available, they would study through the sacred library trying to find ways to travel in between worlds. While there were a few theories on the subject, there was nothing that was concrete. For Aang, he suggested maybe they could try using the spirit world, something that was also considered in theory but was never plausible to reach. However, Aang, recognizing his connection as the Avatar, if there was anyone who could find a way there, it would have to be him. And if the spirit world could connect to other worlds, then maybe there was a way for him to get to there through here. Of course, all of this was speculative in the end of the day, so there was nothing that could truly be concrete in terms of a solution. However, Aang didn't let it get to him, although he was anxious, not knowing just how long he could have been away from his world. If it were theorized properly, he had spent almost a century stuck in that ice, and then somehow he found himself here. Aged up by a few years, although it seemed the ice had to play a hand in slowing down his growth, to at least enough of a degree, so that he didn't become an old man. However, even still, Aang had other avenues to keep himself focused, one mainly being in his training of mastering the 4 elements. Aang was already a master of the air, so there was no need to go over that subject. However, he concentrated on water. Thankfully, Rem was skilled with water magic. Now, magic and bending, while many could say they were alike, they were also different. However, the principles of using water, that could be applied to just about anything. While it was unorthodox, Rem was a good master for Aang, getting a better understanding of using water and how it flowed, and having a better way of using it. The two would train with one another daily, and as Aang improved, Rem also improved as well, adopting a few of Aang's bending methods to her own fighting skill, and showing her own growth as a magic user. All seemed to have been going fine, until one particular day. A dragon carriage would arrive to the manor. Aang would be surprised to see it. After all, he was familiar with dragons, although these were nothing like the dragons he were familiar with, explaining that the dragons he had seen in his world were much bigger and larger and could fly. These were ground dragons that ran on their feet. Of course, many would be shocked to hear that Aang had interactions with dragons, Aang knowing that they were alive even during his time, although he hadn't really seen one in a while, so there was no way of knowing for sure. He asked if there were any dragons in this world, and there were confirmed to be some, although the kind that Aang were referring to, those were a rare species, and you could say that the ground dragons were sort of their descendants. The ones that would be brought to the manor would be a rather cute looking individual, someone in a blue little dress with cat ears. Felix was the name, as well as Felix's attendant, Wilhelm, an older gentleman who kindly greeted those of the manor. While Felix went in to discuss business of the royal selection with Amelia, Aang was merely tending to the garden outside, as he and Wilhelm would have a discussion over tea. Wilhelm was happy to speak with Aang, a polite and well-spoken individual, who was meek and humble, and had wisdom that was almost beyond his years. Of course, for Aang, he didn't think much of it. This was just how he was taught and raised to behave. So the two of them were able to build up goodwill amongst one another, as the meeting came to an end, and Felix would give Aang a wave and a goodbye. Aang's cheeks would be a little red. After all, Felix was pretty cute, although he'd be in for a rude awakening later on, but that's besides the point. As Aang went back in, he would ask what the meeting was about, Roswald explaining that they were calling all of the royal candidates to the capital of Lagunica for a special meeting regarding the prophecy of the Coven of the Dragon, the one of whom that would speak of the next ruler. Of course, Aang thought that all of this sounded intriguing. However, Roswald would add more to this, asking that Aang would attend as one of Amelia's guards. Amelia would be shocked by this. After all, she didn't want to have to drag Aang into any of her business if she didn't have to, out of courtesy. However, Roswald would comment that if there was anyone capable of protecting her, then it would be Aang. Of course, he would be there as well, but still, it was always good to have a representative. Aang would actually be a bit nervous about doing it. After all, he never considered himself to be a warrior or anything of that like. However, Roswald would comment that it wasn't about being a warrior, more so than a guardian. Every representative was going to have one, and while Roswald was the ambassador for Amelia and was endorsing her campaign, he wasn't actually a warrior that fought on her behalf. Well, not unless he needed to. His fighting was more of a financial battlefield. However, Aang could just be the stand-in. After all, from the way that he had protected the village and helped fight against the Maw Beast, he clearly showed that he had the power and the capabilities of doing so. Aang would think this over. He had already been serving as the guardian of the mansion for a while now, and serving as a guard for Amelia couldn't be bad. It wasn't like he was being asked to fight or anything, he was just being asked to defend. That fit into the Avatar's role pretty well. And so he agreed, with Aang and Rem attending, while Ram and Beatrice would be staying back at the mansion, as Roswald would accompany the group heading towards the capital. As they arrived, Aang felt like it had almost been a lifetime since he had been here. It was in the capital where his journey started to begin with, where he learned about his power. That was another thing that was bothering him. It wasn't something that he particularly liked to think about much, but he was still trying to figure out just how he got returned by death. Why was it affecting him? What was its significance? Of course, Aang would have to try to figure this out on his own. The last time he tried to speak about it, it caused his death. Whatever this power was, it was something that he could not speak aloud to anyone. He'd just have to figure out the answer on his own. While the group were in the capital, Aang would drop off Emilia at the royal waiting station. While there, they would actually run into Julius, one of the Knights of Lagunica. Emilia would introduce herself as well as Aang, who would politely meet and greet himself to Julius, respectfully. The two of them would be cordial, and Aang would leave Emilia to her affairs, promising that he would return when the time was needed. For now, he merely walked around the capital. He even had earned currency from working from Roswald, so now he had money to actually buy things. Meeting the Appa man once again, he was able to buy appas for himself, and since he preferred to have fruits and vegetables over meat, they actually tasted pretty good. However, Aang would run into some other unpleasant familiar faces, that being in the form of the 3 bandits that tried to rob him when he first got here. They were hassling some girl. She was dressed elegantly in red and black. However, she didn't seem to think that she was in any real danger. In fact, she was quite rude and quite arrogant. Aang wondered if he should get involved in this affair, but he decided that he couldn't just leave the girl to fend for herself, and so he would go in to help. Whipping out his bow staff, he would quickly send out a gust of wind, knocking the would-be bandits on the ground and forcing them to retreat. They had remembered the last time they came across the airbending master, and they didn't want to have those troubles again. The girl, however, continued on, acting as if she didn't have a care in the world. She said that anything in this world that happened, it happened because it was meant to be, and it was all for her benefit. Aang still couldn't make sense of the girl or for her grand boastering. And then he would also meet another familiar face, in the form of Old Man Ram. Aang would wave to the old man, who would wonder why he was talking to him. But then Aang had to remember, that's right, I never went to the loot house this time around, so he wouldn't remember me. Hey kid, do I know you or something? Why are you yelling out to me like that? Oh, I've heard of you, from my friend, Felt. You know Felt? I've been looking for her. Do you know where she is? Yeah, she got taken by this Reinhardt guy. Says he's a knight of the capital. Oh, I see. Well, thanks for the heads up. Any friend of Felt's is a friend of mine. Meanwhile, in the alleyway, Emilia would also arrive, along with someone else who was wearing a black helmet. This was Ao, the guardian for the woman that Aang had saved. She would just chastise her knight before preparing to leave, although she would ask what Aang was carrying, and he handed her an appa, although she didn't recognize it, I guess because she was so privileged that she never had to peel an appa before. But still, she tried it, and she liked it. With that, Aang and Emilia would set off, making their way towards the royal selection grounds, where they would meet with Roswald, while Rem would be waiting back at the inn. As Aang made his way inside, he would be surprised by the large room, its regal status, and all of the other guardians and knights in attendance, with swords by their sides and dressed in all similar and fitting attire. Aang, on the other hand, looked like he was dressed, well, not for the occasion. Not that his clothing was bad, it was just different. Although he didn't have to feel too bad about it. That owl guy was here and he wasn't dressed like everyone else, but still he had respect nonetheless. Aang similarly would feel the same as he walked over and saw Reinhardt, who he hadn't seen since that time in the capital. Ah, you're that airbending fellow. Aang, isn't it? Yep, that's me. Reinhardt, it's good to see you again. Yes, indeed. I have to thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we could have had a bit of a bad situation a little over a month ago. It's no problem. I just had to do what I could. Meow. Hi there, Aang. Felix, I had no idea you were a knight. Aw, why is that? Well, I thought that all the knights were boys. I am a boy, silly. I know how it can be sometimes, Reinhardt would say. But I assure you, Felix is a boy. But. Funny for you to assume that I was anything else. I never said that I wasn't a boy. Is there a problem? No, not at all. I'm just a little, I have a lot to question about myself. I mean, damn, it's a boy, but it's so cute. I mean, no, I mean, if we were the only ones left on the planet, then no. Aang would have to get those thoughts out of his mind. But still, this was definitely something new that you see every day. Julius would also arrive, greeting them once again, surprised to see that Aang knew many more of the Knights of Lagunica. Aang would just say that he had met them in passing, before explaining his situation and how he had met Reinhardt in the first place. Julius was definitely a bit intrigued. Aang wasn't a knight, but he seemed to have a bit of a reputation, so for at least for now, he seemed on the up and up. The council would call the meeting to order, as the candidates would all step forward for the selection. First, there was Cruce Karsten, with her attendant, Felix Argyle, Priscilla Bariel, and her knight, Al, Anastasia Hoshin, and her knight, Julius. Then there was Amelia, with her indebtor, Margrave L. Roswell Mathers, and her guardian, Aang, the Avatar. And then the final candidate would be brought into the room, kicking, screaming, and not really too thrilled to be there. It was Felt, along with her knight, Reinhardt. Of course, Felt truly didn't want to be here, and when Aang tried to wave towards her, she would attempt to give him a swift kick in the ass, and it hurt. Ow! What was that for? Listen, Baldy, you're the one that got me into this mess. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have stolen an insignia, and you know it. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's cool to see that you're still alive. I thought a clown like you would have died off in the forest a long time ago. Speaking about death, I'm just glad to see you're okay. Your friend Old Man Rom's been looking for you. Really? Old Man Rom? Do you know where he is? Well, last time I saw him, he was in an alleyway. But if I see him again, I'll make sure to tell him something for you. Yeah, I'm doing fine, but I really hope I get to see him soon. I miss the old geezer. As Aang and Felt continued talking amongst themselves, the council would try to get things back on track. One by one, each would introduce themselves and their overall goals and ideas. It was safe to say that Aang was a bit disturbed by a few of the candidates. Cruce wasn't bad, maybe militaristic, but not bad per se. She definitely gave off vibes of being an earthbender, at least from her attitude. Priscilla, she was vain, self-centered, acted as if the world and everything in it revolved around her. She definitely had a fiery ego to her in that regard. Then there was Anastasia. It was hard to gauge what she was, not any of the particular elements, but honestly, he could associate her with air. She was a free-flowing spirit, crafty, always seeming to have some other ulterior motive up her sleeve. Although Aang would never want to be associated with such a being, she was definitely not someone whose ambitions could easily be corralled. Emilia, she was calm but also assertive. She was like the spitting image of water in a sense. But then there was Felt, who Aang actually felt akin to. She was probably the true embodiment of air in that regard. She just wanted to be a free spirit and do whatever was her leisure. She didn't want to be tied down to any system or job or anything of that sort, and Aang could kind of relate. After all, it wasn't like he wanted to be the Avatar or anything. However, the council would only continue on in their disrespect, especially towards Emilia and Felt, referring to them as gutter trash and as a filthy devil. Many in the crowd began to speak and murmur against them, and it caused Aang to feel a tinge of anger. Out of everyone here, it was these two that were getting hassled? And when they continued on with their insults, Aang finally had enough. "Excuse me, but what right do you have to speak to them that way?" Everyone would turn to hear whose voice that had come from. Aang standing proudly and not having any reservation for what he had said. Emilia would be a bit worried, but Roswaal would stop her, a smile appearing on his face, almost as if he wanted to happen. "And just who are you to speak in such a moment, boy?" "My name is Aang. I serve as Emilia's guardian." "I don't understand. Why are you all treating her like this? Out of everyone here, she has the thoughts of the kingdom and the people's interest at most. She truly cares for this land and wants to help it, but yet you continue to talk bad about her and call her these horrible names, and Felt as well. Why are you being rude to them?" "For someone who knows nothing of our customs to dare speak out in such insolence. That girl bears a resemblance to the witch of envy. Why should the people put their trust in her? Because of a look? You're going off just a look? I mean, with all due respect, there are a lot of people in this kingdom who look a bit weird and strange, but I would never judge them in such a way. Treating her as such is wrong, and you all know it." "Forgive me, Aang," Julius would speak up, "but do mind your manners when speaking to the council." "The council's wrong, Julius. No one should be looked down upon for how they look. They should be judged on their character. They should be judged on the actions and the deeds that they do for the people. And with all due respect, the person that you follow, these ones, what good do they offer towards the kingdom anyway?" A few of the other princesses would be taken aback by Aang's speech, offended that he would dare call them out. "I'm not saying this to be rude, but I feel like a lot of you missed the point. This country is at a crossroads right now. What you need to have is balance and peace to try to come with a solution. But you only bring talk about war and about militarization and expansion. You only care about commercial greed and money, and well, you're just spoiled." "What? Spoiled?" Priscilla would say. "How dare you? Al, cut him in half, now!" Princess, I really don't think we're supposed to." "I said now!" "All right. Hey kid, I'm sorry, but..." Before Al could swing his sword at Aang had already dodged and moved behind him, shooting a gust of wind to his back and knocking him over. Al? What's the meaning of this? That dirty half-elf brought some weirdo in here." The other guards would call for them to settle down immediately. However, coming bursting through the doors would be Old Man Ram, as he went to go and reach towards Felt and get her out of there. Felt was happy to see the old man, but he was quickly pinned down by the guards, who were ready to draw their swords and execute him on the spot. "Oh no! Get away from him!" Aang would swing his bow staff towards the guards, sending a slashing wind that knocked them all away, allowing the old man to get up. "This has gone on long enough. If these two are going to interrupt matters in this way, then we'll execute them both here and now. Aang and Old Man Ron would stand back to back. I'm sorry to get you dragged into this, kid. It's fine, don't worry about it. I'm not going to let them harm you. Aang, please stop this. Julius would now speak up, standing in the center of the room. You've already caused enough of a scene. What are you talking about? I'm just standing for what's right. There is procedure in how things should be done. It's obvious that you're an outsider and you don't understand our ways. I understand well enough. If you can sit idly by while wrong takes place, that's fine with you, but not with me. And just on what authority do you have to act in the way that you do? Aang would look to all of them with a stern look in his eyes. I am the Avatar, and I will not allow injustice to prevail, not when I have a way of standing against it. Many in the crowd would whisper and speak amongst themselves. Just what was the Avatar? They had never heard of such a title. Roswald would then speak up next. This young man here is the Avatar. Avatar Aang, master of all 4 elements. The 4 elements? A master? Him? That is impossible. No one can master the 4 elements. Oh, but he can. He has already mastered air, and he has water studying under his grasp. In due time, he wishes to master both earth and fire. He has the capabilities of doing so, and a greater power beyond all who believe. But yet he chooses to find a peaceful solution. I do ask that you all be wise when engaging him. If he wanted to, he could wipe out every other warrior in this room. Aang would merely shake his head. Why was Roswald instigating a fight? Julius, however, would smile. You have that much faith in him, do you, Roswald? Well, why don't we put it to the test? I'll face him. Everyone in the room would look towards Julius with a shock. What was he thinking? Is he trying to kill the boy? If they have that much faith in him, and if he can back up his speech, then he should have no problem facing me. But I didn't come to fight. Oh, but you were speaking so proudly just a moment ago. Tell me, where has your confidence gone? Has it shriveled up and died all of a sudden? Or maybe it's gone to a slumber. Perhaps you should call and wake it up. Some would begin to laugh at this notion. Aang could see the look on Amelia's face. She was worried. She didn't want any harm to come to him. I'm not here to fight. I just don't want you to badmouth Amelia anymore. She should be given a fair chance to represent herself, and she should be allowed to speak and hear what she has to say. So, you hide behind the princess now? Only the cowardly thing to do. A man should stand by his actions and the words that he says. Aang was now starting to get a bit annoyed by this. He didn't come here looking for a fight, but it was obvious that Julius was only prodding him forward. You know what? If you want to go so badly, let's do it. To the arena. The knights would give way, making to the battle arena that was just next door to the Royal Selection Hall. Of course, the other princesses would look worried, as Anastasia would smile. Well, half-elf, it seems you truly do embody the Witch of Envy. Everyone that follows you heads to their doom. What are you talking about? Amelia would say. Behind Reinhardt, Julius is one of the best knights and fighters in all of Lagunica. For your little warrior to go and fight against him, it's foolish and stupid. The only thing he's going to find is a quick and painful death. That's not true. Aang is strong and powerful. You shouldn't underestimate him. Oh, really? You care to make a wager on it? What? Simple. If my Julius wins, I want you to back out of the royal selection. Ah, I see. So you plan to use this skirmish to your advantage. Oh, Roswell, you know me so well. I'm always looking to raise the stakes. After all, it's money that makes the world go round, and you don't earn money without taking some risk, now don't you? On that, I can agree on. Very well, I'll take your wager. And what about if our representative wins? If your representative wins, I'll give you the territory from the western part of the kingdom. Ooh, that is intriguing. You mean the territory of the hill range with the great winds that blow by? Yeah, although I don't really know what you could really want with it. It's a spacious territory. I'm being more than generous. I'll take you up on that offer. Roswell? Don't worry, Miss Amelia. Have faith in your champion. In the meantime, everyone would head to the arena. Julius had already taken off his coat and drawn his sword. So, are you going to be fighting with your sword as well? I'm not really good with using it. I'm just gonna fight with this. Aang would hold up his bow staff. Everyone in the crowds would laugh. He's gonna try to fight with a stick? How stupid can he be? Julius is gonna wipe the floor with him. Yeah, poor thing. Very well then. Bring me the practice sword. Why? Aang would ask. What? If I use this real sword, I'll kill you. I don't think you will. Just how arrogant can you be? It's not about being arrogant. I really don't want to do this fight, but it looks like I'm not really being left with much of a choice. I just don't want you to feel like you're being handicapped. Julius would smile and take the practice sword. I promise. This is my handicap for you. With that, the battle would begin. Julius would take the charge, swinging towards Aang, who was able to dodge and duck against his attacks rather effectively, counter-striking with his bow and a few times knocking Julius off his feet. However, Julius was also perceptive, and Aang found himself hitting the ground a few times just as well. However, the tide of the battle would slowly change when Aang started using his airbending, pushing and knocking away at Julius from every direction. So, you can use the spirit arts of the air. Spirit arts? Well, let me show you what I can do. Spirit art of the flame, I called to you at once from the great embers of the sun's soul. Come to me now and lend me your fire. Julius would be swirled by spirits that would take a red aura before igniting into flame. Oh no, Amelia would say. Ah yes, Julius, the conjurer of the fire spirit. I believe Aang does not have any experience with fire, now does he? No, I've only seen him bend with air and with water. Then this will be intriguing. Aang would try to fend off against the fire. However, his airbending only made it worse, as if it were adding the fuel to the flame. You're not bad, Aang. However, you are a bit foolish. It's called scientific method. Or, in most cases, madness. For only a fool would repeat the same trick over and over again and expect a different result. Julius would send a slash of fire, as Aang would try to counter with a slash of wind, the wind only being engulfed by the flame, adding to its strength as it went barreling towards him. Aang would just barely stand on his feet, holding his bow staff ready in defense. Oh man, of all the people I had to fight, someone who I don't have the way to use fire against? Wait, fire. I can counter with water, but I don't have any. From out of the crowd, Amelia would yell, "Aang, remember what I taught you!" Amelia? Remember our training! Aang would then have to recall the training that he had done with Amelia on how to call spirits. Of course, it would take some time and concentration, but he could call on them, and of any element. Naturally, wind spirits were the first ones to come to Aang's side. It was really easy, although for Aang that was probably natural to figure out. But that's it. Julius would stand proud, ready to launch his next assault. So, what trick do you have up your sleeve, Aang? Standing strong, Aang would clasp his hands together, concentrating. Alright, let's do this. I just have to concentrate and focus inward. I need to call to the water spirits. Wind, I know you always want to help me, and I'm grateful, but right now I could really use water. Come on, water! Julius had gotten tired of waiting. He dashed towards Aang, ready to make his next move, when suddenly, blue floating lights would appear in front of him, as they sent out a strong wave of water, clashing at the fire spirits. Oh! People in the crowd would begin to stare in awe. Aang had managed to conjure a few water spirits to his side. Well, it's not the lot that I thought I'd get, but thank you. Now, please lend me your strength. For the few water spirits that he had managed to call, Aang would get great bodies of water summoned to him. He began to bend them, using them like tendrils in a way, moving and disarming Julius as he tried to fend them off with his fire spirits. However, the two sides canceling each other out, it left Julius wide open. Aang would summon air to his feet, causing him to move swiftly and out of sight, before appearing behind Julius as he delivered a swift crack of the bow to the back of his head. It wasn't enough to do any real lasting damage, but it definitely got in a clean shot, knocking him down. Julius feared the worst, expecting for Aang to try to go in for more shots. He had already been disoriented, and it would only make sense. He had the advantage, and now was the time for him to press with it. But something else happened. Aang held out his hand to Julius. What the? Come on, get up. But why? I'm your enemy. No, you're not. We don't have to be enemies. I don't want to fight you. I see. So you would show me mercy. Of course. I didn't come here to try to prove something to you. I'm just standing up for my friend, that's all. I know this might be hard to believe. I don't know what this world's gone through. I don't know about the Witch of Envy, and I don't know why you all have a hatred for her. But my friend isn't that. No matter who wins, isn't what's best for the kingdom most important? I just want my friend to have a chance to do her best. That's all. Julius would be moved by Aang's words. Despite the power that he displayed, he did not wield it in a way of arrogance or foreboding, but rather he showed his true intentions. Julius would take Aang's hand as the two stood, having come to a reconciliation. The people in the crowd were shocked by the new development, but at the same time, they were pleased with it. Emilia was happy also to see that things had gone for the best and cooler heads had prevailed. Anastasia would look annoyed, but a deal was a deal, and Roswalt got the territory. Following those days' proceedings, Aang would actually speak with Julius, learning more about spirit arts and about the great collection of knowledge the capital had on it. This could be potentially what Aang was looking for. Roswalt would agree and would tell Aang to stay back in the capital. He would personally escort Emilia back, and Rem could stay and keep him company if he wanted. Rem was more than happy to do so, a chance to spend some alone time with Aang. Emilia would be a bit disheartened by this, however, she would make Aang promise to get back as soon as he could. Aang would promise, and they would see them off. As Emilia and Roswalt left the capital, Aang would spend a few days with Julius, as well as talking with Wilhelm along with Felix, learning whatever else he could about the power of this world and any other knowledge that might help him. Rem could see that Aang was truly enthralled in his studies. Of course, he didn't have any definitive answers, but he was making a lot of headway. And it's why she didn't tell him. She had a bad feeling. You could say it was the connection to her twin sister. Of course, if she had told Aang this, he would have dropped everything to follow her. But Rem didn't want to do that. This could be Aang's only chance to get home. She'd never want to take that away. Instead, she told a lie. She simply said that something had come to her attention and she was going to go to the mansion after all. Aang was more than ready to follow her, but she shooed him off, telling him that it was okay. All he had to do was stay here and focus on his studies, and he could follow not too long after. She would make sure that someone would guide him back to the manor, although Aang had a pretty good sense of direction, so he could fly there. Rem would smile and thank him before saying her goodbyes and setting off in her dragon carriage into the night. Aang spent a few more days in the capital. He had learned so much from everyone there, and he was ready to take his leave. With his glider in hand, Aang would soar off into the sky, ready to head back to the mansion with everything he had learned. Maybe now they could figure something out. Maybe he was on the right track. However, as he slowly arrived to the mansion, things were not looking for the best. There was smoke coming from the village. It didn't look like a regular fire. Something was wrong. Aang would descend, looking to see and just to make sure that everything was okay. As he descended, he looked around and a terrible smell hit his nose. The smell of burning meat, but it smelled rotten. As he took a closer look, he realized that what he had saw before him were bodies. Bodies of villagers that had been stabbed, mutilated, and had been burnt beyond all recognition. It made him feel sick, like he just wanted to throw up, and he did. What's going on? Who could have done this? Oh no. Aang would quickly run through the village, finding that the fate had befallen everyone, from man to woman, even the children. Oh no. Rem! Amelia! Aang, without any hesitation, would create an air scooter, rushing as fast as he could towards the mansion. Off in the distance, he could see smoke and flame coming from the manor. They were under attack. Aang would pick up his speed. A strong wave of worry, of dread, of terror, and of anger washed over him. As Aang walked within the territory of the Roswalt mansion, he saw nothing but death and destruction all around him. Strange robed figures lining the grounds with their blood. It was a massacre on all fronts. A place that was of warmth and of comfort, now bathed in chaos and destruction. Among it all, though, Aang saw the body of Rem. Rem! Rem! Come on, say something! Who did this? Yes, my brothers. Your sacrifices are not in vain, for you have now cleansed yourself in her love, in the love and in her embrace. My precious love. Aang looked in anger, looking at the one who spoke amongst the wreckage and the carnage. Who are you? I am Betelgeuse, and this is a glorious day. You killed them. You butchered them. Betelgeuse, you're going to die. This concludes ReZero Avatar Lost. What if Aang was in ReZero? Season 1, Part 4. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we begin Naruto DxD, Rise of the Dragon. What if Naruto was in High School DxD? Season 2, Part 1. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.
You were supposed to protect her. You were supposed to keep her safe. Although I'm not surprised. In the end, you were born to be a failure. I have failed you. If this is how it must end, then so be it. Let's end this. Now.